Hey, San Diego, excited to talk to you guys. Thanks for being on the call today. Hopefully you guys are noticing that this is a great October and it's an important month. It's probably, in my opinion, the most important month of the year. It's where we ramp up the business to get finalized for the year, and the second thing is that we're looking for new business for next year, so we're building up our lead inventory also. So with that said, good morning. Who has a question for me? Any questions before I get started today? All right then. So we had some comments about the box or not the box, and gosh, you know, I love the comments that were going around, and merely the box was only a suggestion to get started, and I know some of you like the box idea. Just start collecting things and throwing it in there. Just because you're busy and just trying to put things like, okay, we use this. Okay, this is the letter we use. Okay, this is a piece of marketing. I should put that in there. And, of course, if you have time to go ahead in the space right now to take a file drawer and label some file folders like listing information, closing, marketing, customer service, employee information, then you can, if you have time to set up some file folders like that, of course, that would be the easiest thing to do. I just say get started somewhere. Box, no box, files, no file. Get started. That's the only key there. So any quick questions about that before I have the great Stephanie start talking? You guys are so easy. Hopefully your agents are doing a few things differently also off of these calls. We're into call 12 right now, and not next week but the week after, you know, I have a call with the agents, and hopefully, you know, everybody's going to be prepared, you know, that get your agents to get on those calls. If you get those agents to get on the call like call 13, I do a great job of hopefully teaching them and giving them ideas on how to be a great boss and communicate with you guys effectively also. Won't that be great? All right, Miss Stephanie, I've got almost the top of the hour. We got a lot to cover today, so rock it out.
All right, good morning, everyone. This is Stephanie. I'm your Fast Track Coordinator. I'm going to make a few announcements today before we get started, and I hand you back over to Coach Monica. We do ask that you help us keep the noise levels to a minimum. Please, if you're not interacting on the call, make sure your line is muted. You can use the mute button on your phone if you have one, or you can hit *6 to mute, and then *6 again to unmute when you want to ask questions or you have comments. If you're on a cell phone or have us on speakerphone, please keep yourself muted, as it does make an extremely loud echo for us. Please don't put us on hold, otherwise we'll be listening to your hold music. Also, a heads up, we can see everyone's line that is dialed into this call and how much feedback is coming from it. If you forget to mute yourself and are creating too much feedback, I will mute you. I prefer not to, as once you're muted from my side, you are muted for the rest of the call, and you do not have an option to interact or ask Monica any questions. Okay, Monica, they're all yours.
And a lovely good morning and good afternoon to everyone. I'm excited to talk to you guys about listings and closings and kind of pulling some stuff together for that. What I do want to make note of on the first page is my email address and Eric Newhook, who is in charge of customer service. So any kind of customer challenges, he's your man. He's awesome. He's the best. He'll help you. Page 1. So what are today's objectives for today's call? Well, one, I'm going to have fun. I've been doing this for over 33 years, and it's amazing. You know, my one thing is coaching great assistants, because agents cannot be great agents. They can be good agents, but they can't be great agents without the help of a team. And obviously, you know, I was one of the first people to ever put together a system of assistants, and knowing that my strengths are with being a great real estate agent, looking for buyers, looking for sellers, negotiating contracts. That's my strength. And so you, as a great assistant on this call, the systems is where the repeat and referral business is done. And so ultimately, when we go through these things, the conversation that you need to have is, how are we doing as far as communicating to the client? How are we doing as far as making sure that that client feels very, very important? Are we exceeding their expectations? Are we meeting their expectations? and usually they're reasonable expectations. So on the objective for today's call is to develop a plan of action and formulate how to use it as a price reduction tool. So if you're not licensed, you're not going to be doing price reductions, and if you are licensed, it's one of the things that is going to be part of your job now or ultimately. It's just a natural process for you to be involved in that. And it's a great, and if not, then here's some great information. We've got a price reduction system, we've got letters, we've got the scripts, and so you can have a tab in your policy and procedures book that says price reduction system, which will have the scripts and the letters. I'm going to go through the 3-week honeymoon of communication and, make some changes there that I've added, and you guys have seen some of this before, but it's so worth stating every time that when you have these systems in place the first 3 weeks, you're ultimately going to have some tremendous feedback from your clients about how much they absolutely respect and enjoyed working with you, and hopefully repeat and referral business. So we're going to develop making sure that you've got the sources of business and why that's important, and a transaction summary. So *6 to mute yourself, *6 to unmute. If you don't behave yourself, we will take care of that. So let's get ready on page 3. So do you have a clear communication with your agent on listing updates, pending updates? Is it written and brief and informal? So, for example, in my office on Friday at 10 o'clock, I get a listing update and I get a closing pending update. I know exactly what's under contract, when it's supposed to close, the price it's closing for, the name, the address, the seller. Same thing with listings, how many days on the market, when it's going to expire. I mean, these are critical things, so that I'm not asking my assistant over and over again. So what's going on Hillcrest? What's going on Almaden? What's happening on Hampton Court? So I'm not asking these questions. I can immediately see that. So my goal is to help you not have these questions that are over and over and over again from the agent who listens sometimes and unfortunately sometimes doesn't listen. Imagine that. And I'm sure some of you are just shaking your head right now going, oh yeah, I get the repetitive questions. So this is Efficiency 101. Have you improved your customer service letters? Making sure that, you're saying is part of our customer service. Tell them it's a customer service letter. Give them the information. Are you recording the source of each buyer and seller, and do you have a system for that? Do you have an Excel spreadsheet? Are you putting it in some kind of a pie chart off of Excel with all the different things that Excel can do? You should be. You should absolutely know the percentages of each part of your business. You get a price reduction 14 or 21 days after the listing. What is your system? So 6 months, 8 months ago, talking about price reductions was not very important because we didn't have any. Our market was so on fire. Now, we have price reductions. I have Price Reduction Friday. I go through the files in my drawer and go get price reductions. Magically, the next week or 10 days, they have an offer on it. Imagine that. It's magic. And then do you send the plan of action to the seller? All the marketing ideas with done written on it. We'll talk about that coming up. And do you have a deadline board with all the items that should be completed on each one of the transactions that are easily visible and seen to you? Okay. Page 4, thoughts on listing and closing the deal. So number 1 I wrote down is have a scheduled time for the seller or contact. Now that could be the seller on the closing of the deal, could be the seller on the listing. Do you have a scheduled time for a contact? Now if you're representing the buyer on a closed deal, then it would be the buyer. And so every single week should be a scheduled time that they know that you're going to call on Thursdays between 12 and 2. A lot of times you may not get them. You leave a great upbeat message, but you have a scheduled time that you have customer service. You always must, on number 2, use the agent's name. I know I've repeated this over and over again, but it's such a key thing, and I get emails literally from agents after calls saying, thank you for reminding me. My assistant absolutely needs to use my name. It'll prevent these calls of, gosh, it's great to hear from you, Annie, but I haven't heard from your agent in a long time. But Annie, thanks for calling me. And it's not about Annie being the assistant. It's about the team working together. So be careful. You always want to use your agent's name. And then number 3, I can't state this enough, and I believe we had an assistant on the call. one of the times who said she worked in a law office, and the one with the most paper does win, so you have to keep a communication log. So when somebody calls into your office, it's a listing or a pending, they're under contract, you go, great, thanks for calling. May I put you on hold for 15 seconds? I want to grab your file. Grab the file. Fill out the communication log that they called in on this date and what they said, a couple of words. You need to have a log of communication. And number 4 is to understand the seller and the buyer's perception of purchasing a property. So they the agent leaves the property, and the husband and wife shut the door and they look at each other. They aren't going to high-five each other and go, whoa, yay, score, we got a great agent, yeah, now we're rolling. It's they look at each other and go, I hope we did the right thing, I think we did the right thing. There is doubt. No matter how great, how convincing the agent is, I know when I shut that door with them that there's a little tweak that goes, I hope we did the right thing. Well, I guess we'll find out. That's when the 3-week honeymoon process starts. That's when customer service has to be over the top. The buyer's perception when they buy a property, and you have to understand these nuances about these people, is that the buyer's going, I think we overpaid. I think we paid too much. Oh, you know what? We'll negotiate hard on these repairs. And, well, maybe we should go look around at a few more houses. I'm not sure we did the right thing. What about this lender? Is this the right rate? Gosh, I was hoping it would be lower. Look at these closing costs. Oh, are we doing the right thing? Maybe we shouldn't buy something right now. They get buyer's remorse. And don't forget the mother coming into the picture, or the mother-in-law. Oh, my gosh. Talk about a deal killer. All right, so remember, you got a lot of stuff going on. Number 5, know the client's personality style and have it on the file. Clearly, on every listing file, we know the personality style. On every pending file, we know the personality style. We need to know who we're communicating with. If they speak French, you speak French. If they speak driver, you speak driver. If they speak analytical, a lot of you will be right in there. You've got that language down pretty good. And if they speak high I, you got to go high I on them. And if you're an analytical high C, high I is not so easy sometimes. But you've got to come to that call with energy, enthusiasm, and excited to talk to them. All right. Then number 6 is that when you have a team, and I'm going to assume a lot of you have a team. Obviously, you're an assistant with an agent. That's a team. If you have 2 or 3 assistants, then you got a team also, obviously. And this is what I call number 6, have a smooth transition, pass the baton. So if you've ever, done a relay race, they pass the baton and they have a smooth transition, and they practice that transition, and they practice that reach out and grabbing that baton as they're running really fast. The Olympics are coming up. You'll get to see it again. So are you passing the baton? Because occasionally, this last year, once or twice, we got a critique back that said a lot of people in the transaction, we didn't know who to talk to next. Whoa! Okay, so I had to step back on that one and say, okay, where did we drop the ball? So the transition has to be smooth. So once they sign a listing agreement, I say to them, thank you, for signing the listing. May I share with you, when you hire me, you hire a team. I have a specialized person, Giovanna, who will absolutely be in charge of your file. She'll be out here to take pictures. She's been trained to take some amazing photographs. And she'll measure your house, and she'll bring you the transfer disclosures. During the listing process, you'll be working with her. Now, I don't bring up Shannon or Tony in our closing process at this point because I don't want to add any more names to the list, one at a time. But the transition has to be smooth, all right? The next one I wrote down in number 7 is that the first 5 days, write this down, you've heard me say this before, the first 5 days on a new listing, they're called every single day. Every single day. And number 8, the first 5 days on a new pending, they're called every single day. Every single day. That's called exceeding their expectations. And the key on all of this is making sure they have the information, that they're not wondering what's going to happen next. And sometimes you might leave a message on day 3. Sometimes you might leave a message on day 3, 4, or 5, but they heard your voice. They can call you back if they have any questions. Number 9, contact within 1 hour of receiving the file. whether it's listing or pending, contact within 1 hour. If you do those things, where you contact within 1 hour, you call them every day for 5 days, your experience with them will be incredible. You won't have all these little silly, crazy calls and go, well, what's going to happen next? I thought I'd touch base. What's going on? What are we doing for marketing? What's going to happen on the website? You're going to eliminate these calls. So if you're proactive with your communication, it cuts back on all these crazy interruptions. So if you have a lot of incoming calls, you're not doing something correctly. Make some corrections where you're more proactive. All right, and then number 10 I wrote down, call, email, call. People are under stress when they list a property and sell a property. They are like out of their mind. They're crazy. So I always say there's 5 personality styles. There's the D, the I, the S, the C, and then you got crazy. And so usually their personality style just moves into crazy. They don't hear what you're saying. You've got to repeat yourself. So call, email, call, and over-communicate. Exceed their expectations. Okay? Turn the page. Now here's the plan of action. On number 5, you need to make a correction there if you want to take some of this information and tailor it for yourself. There are 90,000 Keller Williams agents now. And I would put in there, I'm going to make this change this week too, the number 1 franchise company, the number 1 franchise company in, I guess, in the world as far as number of agents. So when, have some powerful statements like that. Some of these are not going to make much sense to you. Some of you can tailor for yourself. But these are the things that we do. Now you'll see number 1 has a blank. We're going to write the date in there, and then on the left-hand side we write done, 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 done. When everything is done, Giovanna puts it in an envelope and sends it to the client. Now that's week 3, because what happens on week 3? We are calling them for a price reduction. And, I set that up at the listing presentation, and it's on my checklist at the listing presentation to talk about price reduction, and you guys all saw a copy of that. Okay, turn the page then. On page 6, it's just more of what we do, and the key thing about all of this is that you put in all the items that you guys do, and then you have the seller, as a listing agent, I have the seller sign this, that this is what we're going to do, and then we write done, 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 and send it back to them saying we've completed that. And here's a key phrase you might want to know. I say to the seller, we know that our marketing works. It is proven and tested, and it works. The only thing we're testing is the price. And in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to know what the market says about your price. So basically the phrase is, we know our marketing works. It sells homes every single day. The only thing we're testing is the price. Oh, boy, that's a good one. All right, page 7. So we're back to this again for most markets, and if you're not there, you're going to be there. Just wait. Everything rolls to the east from the west. And we're into major price reduction time. And you've got to have a system, and you've got to have it clear what's going to happen. So, for example, one of the key points on a price reduction system is to notify your buyer agents that there is a price reduction. The key thing on that is to go back and call all the people who called in on the sign calls, the 800 number, who came into the website on that property. How many people should be contacted that there has been a price reduction? And so with that said, that's how you can develop more what we call conversion rate, finding buyers who, well, I'm not interested in that, but I'm still interested in buying, causes conversation. Or, guess what? You might double in more. Wouldn't that be a great thing? The other thing that's great is, door knocking the neighborhood and letting them know that the seller has made a slight price adjustment, and do they know of anyone who could think about who could move into the area. All right, and then if you turn to page 8, it's just making sure that you absolutely make sure that any agents who called on that property, that they're notified. You have a system, and so you say to the seller, there's 18 things that we do. When you do a price reduction, we have 18 things that we have to change in our websites, in our marketing, and notifying agents, notifying prospective buyers. We do a lot of things. We notify our agents. They contact buyers, anyone who hit our internet sites. We do a lot of things to get the word out about the price reduction. All right? Page 9. On page 9 is a price reduction form, and some of you have your own systems. However, when you have a tab in your book, and the tab in the book will say price reduction, and that's one of the tabs, then, you know, you're going to have everything in there from the form to the checklist to the scripts. All right? Turn the page. I've got a bunch to cover, so I'm going to go through these parts pretty quick. Okay, sample letter number 1 here, what it takes to get your property sold. Now, Stephanie, get some of that background noise, please. Thank you very much. So, with that said, on page 10, you want to take this information and you can condense it down into an email, you can condense it into a letter, and sometimes it's a great way to prepare a client for a price reduction. So these letters are awesome. Okay? Stephanie, grab them. All right? Thank you. All right, page 12. Price reduction letter sample email again. Here is another one. I know that the changing the price of your property is a difficult decision, that the decision must be made based upon what's important for you. I know you want the most for your property, however, the market is still declining. So some of the verbiage, the market is flat or the market is on a decline trend. The interest rates jumped over a point in the last 60 days. I mean, put in your own specifics. So again, these are basic templates that you're going to have to make some corrections to. They're great emails, they're great letters. Okay, so you're going to have a tab under price reduction. You might want to break it out to say price reduction scripts. So if you are an assistant who is going to be part of price reductions, these are some great scripts to understand. So what I would suggest, you know, here's over 20 of them, is that you may not like any of them, you like a few of the phrases, then build your own price reduction script, you know, and put the phrases together that make sense for you. And, you know, all of these responses are typical responses, you know, not going to give it away, really. And, you know, you can see that these are absolutely the same things that every single seller says every single time. And so with that said, just have something that you can rely on. The thing about a price reduction is to come extremely prepared to that call. Be focused to have a goal in mind of getting a price reduction. Know your CMA. Know what was sent to them. Have the recommendation. If you're the assistant helping with these things, you're going to want to make sure that you're saying, Monica Reynolds and Chris Heller reviewed this information last night with me, and they wanted me to share a few suggestions with you. First is I wanted to make sure that you know that we did everything on the marketing plan. Everything has been put into place. We've had 9 showings, and none generated an offer, and the basic feedback was everything from price to the yard was too small for some people. So those are the general comments. And so the next thing that we have to look at is what the market is doing and saying. And right now in your area, there's 4 homes for sale. And when you look at square footage, you look at amenities, you look at the model match, your home is about number 3, could be number 4 on the list as far as price. Don't you agree? So you're going to role play these things with the agent, you know, and you'll get great at it. Much better than the agent, especially coming from what I call a third party. The agents sometimes are not good at price reductions, and the reason they're not good at price reductions is they get too involved in the story that the clients need more money. The clients are absolutely committed to only selling it at that price. But when you approach it at a business point of view and a logical point of view, then it becomes easier. Now, some of you will find getting a price reduction totally outside your box. But here's the good news. The first place to start is that if this is something that you and your agent want you to do, then the first thing to do is every time your agent does a price reduction is to make sure that they're in the room with you, and that you're in the room with the agent, and that you're listening and taking notes. And so sometimes I'll say, gee, okay, listen to me, because I'm going to go get a price reduction. Listen to how I do it. And so by listening and watching and understanding how I talk to people, then she's getting better and better at it. Okay. So let me take a breath here. Any questions before I move on? All right, no questions. Okay, so let's talk about...
I'm sorry.
Okay, good, thank you.
This is Sandy from Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yes, Sandy from Tulsa. Yes, ma'am.
I have a quick question, and I know I haven't sat in with my agent a lot on price reductions, but as you mentioned, the agents tend to get a little bit too close to the story, and I know when you have personal referrals and things like that, that can be easy to do. In our situation, when we have a client who is really, their back is up against the wall and they just feel like they absolutely cannot do that, what is your suggestion?
I just tell them I'm not a magician. No, I'm kidding. You can't say that, right? Okay, so you break it down and you go, I so appreciate your situation. I'm very respectful of that. So write that down, okay? So when you tell people I appreciate your situation, I am respectful of what you're saying. So right then and there, that's what I call building rapport. I'm in rapport with them. I'm respectful of your situation, right?
Right.
And the second thing is that this, of course, is your decision. Do you agree with me that the market is saying no to your price and that the buyers who have seen your property have bought other property and said no to your price? So you've got to get them to say yes, that they see that the price is a challenge. And you say, okay, great, so let's discuss some other options, okay? One is you take it off the market and you don't sell. And I said, I'm going to go through some options with you, and maybe none of them are any good, but let's write down the options, because the good news is you do have options. One is you take it off the market and you don't sell it at this time until the market gets stronger, and based on the economy, based on Obama, based on blah, 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 everything else, it may be a while. Right? Then the second thing, the other option is that you continue to market your home at this price, and we'll work hard on it, and we'll wait and see. However, the market has given us a strong message. So the second option is do nothing. And then the third option is to really look at the price, and let's think about some options about how you could sell it at this price. Now, if you know that they're not going to net anything, you're going to say, can you possibly sell your home with the possibility of not leaving here and not selling your home and only receiving a few dollars? Can you accept that at all? Because that is an option. Or the option is, can you think about how you could maybe borrow some money from some family or friends or however you want to do it, and bring some money to closing so that your home can get sold. And then your other option, which isn't a very good one at all, is do nothing, don't pay your mortgage and let it go into foreclosure, which I know is not an option for you, but it is an option. Okay, so you have to break all the options down. And the other option, there's another option if you're writing these down, because whoever it is appropriate, is that you don't sell your home and you rent it out. And there'll be about, we know that you're going to have, because we've discussed it before, about a $700 negative. It is an option. It's not a very fun option because there's a lot of pitfalls. If the tenant doesn't, take care of the property, or the tenant doesn't make payments, it could cause a huge hardship for you, but it is an option. So basically I say there's about 5 or 6 options for you, and none of them are good. And we just have to choose the right one. And then, of course, the last option is change your price, and let's figure out where you can bring some money to the table. Okay, how do you like that?
No, that's good. I mean, that's helpful. And I know I've heard some of those from my agent as well. And, I know it would probably be a little bit easier for me to say a few of those just because I'm not that close to the situation. But at the same time, I know I still need to be aware of their circumstances and compassionate to it. And
yeah, that's why I said, I understand the situation. I'm very respectful of that. So it says a lot of things,
Right.
And then you say, the good news is you have options. and probably these options are all not very great, but you do have options. 1, you can do nothing. 2, you can do this. 3, you could do that. 4, you could rent it, whatever. And so you just always say you always have options. You know,
Right.
you can always just take it off the market and stay where you're at. Well, we can't do that. We're moving. Okay. And there's a possibility maybe you should rent. And then if they say, well, you know, we're so tight, we can't afford to sell it. And you say, gosh, you know, that happens sometimes. So may I ask you, is there a place where you could borrow some money from family or friends or from your future job? And maybe let's look at what it would take to sell the property and how much you would have to bring to the table. So that's always the option. And then I always say to some people, what can you sell? Is there something you can sell that help you bring some money to the table? Okay? All right,
Okay.
good question, and I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, hopefully that's helpful to everyone on this call. So, page 23, the 3-week honeymoon. Remember, they don't high-five you. Oh, boy, we listed with that agent. Oh, boy, that agent sold it for us. But, however, let me give you a story here. Okay, so let's say that your agent just sold a house at 6%, and it's $300,000, and so that's $18,000 in commission. Okay, now most sellers, they don't understand who gets what, where, and they really don't know. They're clueless. 75% of the market don't understand how a commission is paid. They just see $18,000 going off the top. So I want you to segue to that now. And so let's say that you and I and a whole bunch of people, Jimmy, JJ, Annie, whoever, everybody's going to go. We're going to go out and we're going to have this huge dinner in New York City. And it's going to cost $18,000. We've got a whole bunch of people, and it's going to be amazing. And the customer service is amazing in the beginning. We have the salads that come, and they make the salads in front of us. We have these amazing hors d'oeuvres from all these different countries. We have this amazing entree, filet and lobster, and then we have another entree, then another entree. I mean, it just doesn't stop. We're at a 4-hour dinner, and we're excited. We're going, oh, this is so worth it. The wines are amazing. We've never had these kind of wines. They're all expensive. They're delicious. The service is impeccable, and we're happy. We budgeted. We're getting what we paid for. Then dessert comes. Out comes dessert on these beautiful silver trays and a silver dome over the dessert. And they put a silver dome in front of every single person, and every single person has their own waiter, and they lift up the dome, and there is a dead rat. Well, so all that good meal before and all that great wine before and the hors d'oeuvres and the salads and the entrees, that's all, forget about that. All we're focused on is this last course is the dead rat. So in the closing can be the dead rat. And so I can go out as an agent, do an unbelievable job, take that listing when I have competitors, like 5 really good competitors, grab that listing away from everyone. I'm excited. We do an amazing job in the listing department, amazing marketing, and guess what? We get $25,000 over asking price. We work with the appraiser, and we're nervous. We get them up. We get the appraiser to agree that that property is worth $25,000 more than any other property in that neighborhood. Amazing. Oh, we have earned our commission. Then dessert comes, the closing. And so the closing with the dead rat is if you're in charge of the closing file and everything goes haywire, everything gets stressed out, they don't remember the $25,000 they got over asking price. They don't really care about that. And they don't even care about how great our marketing was and how great our honeymoon checklist was and how we communicated every day with them for the first week and how our marketing plan went into place and did exactly what we said it would do. They don't care about that. They now are not willing to pay the bill. They like what we're doing. They don't think we're on our side. We're not paying attention. There's been a lot of goof ups as far as they're concerned. And we look incompetent for some reason. It doesn't matter whose fault, who said what. It's communication. It's their perception, and they're correct. So this is where the dessert comes in. So, for example, it's so important in that first hour receiving a new contract that the new client, that client is called. and you have a congratulations. Thanks for, congratulations, your home is sold. We're so excited. I want to introduce myself. I'm Tony. I'm Shannon, whoever's, the closing department person. And, I wanted to go over, you have a couple of minutes, I want to go over with you the next couple of processes. So then once everything is said and gone through the checklist, then an email is sent with the contact information and things that were discussed. Congratulation letter is sent. Copy of executed contract in a PDF. Call to selling agent with update on escrow. Charlie to call and touch base regarding contract and the next steps for contingency removal. Charlie in our office, contract negotiator. So if you're doing that, then that would be you. Call for Monica and then call every day for the first 5 days. Call every day for the first 5 days. Really? How could that hurt? It doesn't hurt, and it sets the expectations once again. Remember, no dead rats. Even with chocolate sauce on it, you can't fix a dead rat. It's a dead rat. Week number 2. Assistant to call, setting up times and confirming times regarding home inspections, appraisals, set stage for negotiating repairs, send out just sold cards, send copy to the seller, send out an email update to selling agent, and of course you're talking to them on a regular basis too, figuring out how much hand-holding you need to do with that guy, all right? Week 3, home inspector report, call and negotiate repairs, send copies of contingency removal to seller, congratulations letter, thank you note for Monica and Chris, call for Monica, congratulations to seller, all contingencies are removed. And then you call every 5 days prior to the closing. So put a big star by that one. So if your closing is next Friday, on Monday you start calling them every day. And they are called every day for the 5 days prior to the closing. Even if you have nothing to say. Just say, I'm just touching base, how you guys holding up? Okay, great. Everything is still great with the file. I want to let you know I am absolutely paying attention to every T and crossing every T and dotting every I. Look forward to talking tomorrow with any updates. Do you have any questions for me? Oh, by the way, thanks for working with our team. We really appreciate the business. Is there anything else I can do to help your day? The Disneyland close. All right. Okay, so any questions or comments about that real quick? Okay, so let me ask this question. If you followed that for the first 3 weeks of opening a file, what's the seller's perception? Let's make sure we're clear about this. Someone speak up. What's the seller's perception?
That they're well taken care of.
They're well taken care of, and what's their important investment that they're taking care of?
Their home.
Their home. And
their
that's usually the most expensive asset for most people. Most people, that is their asset. And so they're very, very worried, cautious, and nervous. How does a seller feel, or a buyer that went under contract, that they're getting a call every day for the first 5 days? How do you think they feel on the meter of anxious?
They're high on that meter.
They're high on the meter of anxious, and calling them every day helps with what?
Calming their nerves.
Thank you. Calming their nerves and also keeping them in the deal. So on a buyer, you need to say, congratulations. Wow, what a great home you got. That is amazing. What does a buyer need to feel? They need to feel like they did the right thing, because the opposite is happening. The buyer remorse. Oh, did I do it right? I mean, it happens at every buyer. Oh my gosh, I did the right thing. I hope I did the right thing. What the heck was I thinking? Should I have looked at more houses? So you're the calm in the storm, and you're the person that says, congratulations. Wow, you bought a great home. Good for you. Do you have a couple minutes? I want to introduce myself. I want to share with you what we do to help this process be easy for you. All right? So how do we exceed expectations when somebody goes under contract?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Constant contact.
Yeah, lots of contact. And anticipating their needs. So going back to that, anticipate their needs. So when somebody goes under contract, one of the things that they're going to need help with is, you know, how do we close? What about the termite? What about the home inspection? So having clear information and clear emails to them about that. What else, if you anticipate their needs, you say, by the way, we have a vendor list. If you need help with moving, you're selecting a mover. If you need, we've got a utility list and how you can, you know, turn your utilities. I'll send that to you. We have a list of, do you need any carpet service, any cleaning help? We've got that for you. So remember, what are the needs that this person may need? What if they're elderly and they're moving to a retirement home? What kind of needs do they have? And you thought you're just going to close the property. You've got to get involved in their needs. Do you see where I'm going at with this information?
They might need a storage facility.
They need storage facility. Do you need help? We've got people that can help with an estate sale. We've got people that can help with a garage sale. What services do you think you're looking for? We can help coordinate that. How good would that guy feel? And when he goes, oh my gosh, I've got to sell this house. I've lived here for 40 years. I've sold it. Now what do? I don't even know where to start. We have to help them. Has anyone ever listed a property recently that a hoarder lived in? You just haven't experienced real estate till you deal with hoarders. Anyone?
We did.
Okay, good. Who's we? You are?
My name's Nicole. I'm calling from Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania.
Oh, great. So tell me about your hoarder experience. How did you anticipate their needs?
Are they on TV?
Well, very, very nice people. We actually we had great rapport with them. We just sold their house. But she was freaking out because they were moving to California and they didn't know what to do with all of their stuff. So we just had them kind of we didn't ask anybody to help them. We asked them what they wanted from us, because in a hoarding situation, you kind of have to take a step back because that's their stuff.
Yeah.
But we made, I made is probably the wrong word, but we got them to realize that in selling a home, less is more.
Right.
So they ended up shipping half of their stuff to their new house in California. They left just a couple of things in the house with, like in the living room furniture, kitchen furniture, and a couple things in a bedroom. But the entire week of our listing, to get them ready, the agent was there kind of hand-holding one of the sellers through everything. He was very emotionally attached to the house, very emotionally attached to her stuff. But then we finally kind of convinced her that in staging your home, people are going to come in and they're going to feel like it's a home and it's not a storage facility.
Exactly.
Full of your memories. So they couldn't even envision what their memories could be there. So we kind of took it on a more personal level for them instead of, we need to empty your house because people are going to hate this and they're going to be like, nope, too much, got to go. So
well, thank
it was
you
kind
for
of
that.
a little
Yeah,
hand-holding.
that is great.
Yeah.
And so thank you for that. That is great. And so please understand the reason I'm going through this is that I want you to see that when dessert comes and you're paying $18,000, you want to anticipate their needs. Is there anything I can help you with? Have you got movers and cleaners organized? In a hoarder situation, I said to this one hoarder, I said, great, you know, we work with a lot of people who have a lot of items and things in their home, and so I'm going to give you some recommendations. One is that, and I can't think of it, where they roll these big pods, the pod storage, I guess. And I said, I recommend that you get 2 pods and you start filling those pods up. And so, you know, we give them exact explicit ways to do it, and then we check in on them to make sure progress is happening. And then, so you have to anticipate their needs because a hoarder doesn't know where to start. Retirement people downsizing, it's monumental to them. Somebody going through a divorce and they're doing it all on their own, you know, those are how can we help you? Is there things that we can help coordinate for you? Well, I'm going to need a mover. Great. We've got 2-3 movers here we suggest. I could have them each come over and give a bid to you. Would Saturday be good? What time in the morning? Great, I'll coordinate that for you. So what I'm getting at is you anticipate the needs and don't serve somebody a dead rat where they get stressed out and go, oh my gosh, they're just not helpful at all. And all of a sudden this happened and that happened and now I've got this termite thing that I've got to handle and I've got all these repairs to do to the house. And so when repairs come and say, how can we help? We have a list of repairmen that we highly recommend that are absolutely very cost effective. And so just hearing what I'm saying, it's just not following a checklist and calling in. It's anticipating how to deliver extraordinary customer service. Okay, enough of that. You got the point. Page 24, no dead rats. The way that an agent builds their business plan for next year, 2014, is to look at this year and the sources of where the business came from. If your agent has no clue, and you guys haven't done this yet, do it now by getting a list from your market center of all of your agents' closed sales and anything pending you can get from the MLS board, and hopefully you have a list yourself. And then you say to your agent, let's take 5 minutes and go through each one of these and think about this. And then so on the closed ones, you're going to say, okay, you know, Cherry Street, the seller's name was Bob and Henry, right, Bob and Betty, and they're moving to San Francisco, and you know, blah blah blah. Do you remember how? Oh, you know what? That was this and this and that. Okay, that came from our just listed calls. Okay, then you might say, okay, this one was a referral, so I marked that down. That was an agent referral. So you, as an assistant, can be so wonderful if you start down the list yourself and you start figuring out. And as a rule right now, anything that closes needs to go on a spreadsheet in these sources here. Anything that closes next year, you need to start that. That's part of your closing checklist, is to note the source, and it goes in the database, and it goes on a spreadsheet. We have a pie chart that tells us exactly where we are. So right now, 37% of our business is repeat and referral, which is exactly where you want to be. If it's higher than that, you're not looking for new business. If it's lower than that, you're not taking advantage of your database and past clients. So hopefully you'll see that. Now you can add whatever you want on here, but here's just sources of some businesses. Okay? Turn the page to page 25. All right. So once again, and I'm big on just really understanding the business, especially we're going into 2014, we've got to have this information. So completed transactions, you know, address, sales price, sales date, close, commission amount, escrow company, title company. I like to keep track, and here's why. Why do you think I want to keep track of the escrow company we used and the title company we used? Because if I'm making them money, I want to make sure that I'm getting some benefit back. I know RESPA, they're not going to give me money, but they can sure help me out in some different ways. And I know RESPA, and you know RESPA. And one of the questions to always ask an affiliate is this, write this one down. What are you doing for other clients that you're not doing for me? What are you doing for other agents that you're not doing for me? You know, we had our title people come in the other day, and they've got all these farm packages. Great! So tell us how this works. And some of them are free and some of them aren't, but they're going to come in and talk to some of the buyer agents who want to go after some particular areas where they sell a lot of property in. Great! So they're going to provide that service, come in and teach and show how we can do that. So I want to keep note of who's making money off of my deals. We also keep track of the home warranty, and of course we keep track of the termite. We only use the same affiliate every time. When we have the listing, we pound our affiliates in there. We say seller requests all of these in our counteroffer, okay? And then, so these are just the systems and thoughts on closing the deal and making sure that you have great records, great customer service, anticipating problems. Remember the dead rat, you don't want that to happen. And so what I like to do right now is open it up for comments and questions, and you know, what are some of the things that you guys learned today? So out of today's call, because what you heard somebody else might not have heard. So I want you to tell me what you heard today that's going to make a difference for you and move your business forward. So who's got the number one idea today? Who's got number one?
Anticipating needs, thinking about that, like...
I'm sorry, somebody's talking, I can't hear you. Who's got number one idea? Speak up.
Hi, Nicole from Bryn Mawr again.
Hi, Nicole. Thank you for joining, and I appreciate when you participate. Thank you.
No problem. I mean, just to go back what you were just talking about, anticipate your client's needs, whether it's the buyer or the seller. Make sure you have a list of everything that you think that they're going to need, and share it with them. Share all of your ideas with them and see how you can help them either get their house sold or know that they bought the right house.
Exactly. So, Nicole, thank you for that. So anticipating their needs is over and above. They expect the file to close with no problems. They expect that. They expect you and me to do our job of getting it closed. And then the extra service is anticipating their needs and say, I know you're going to be looking at moving companies. Is there anything we can do to help you on this end? We have several movers we know do a great job and are very affordable, very competitive price. So that's anticipating needs and having a list of services. Thank you, Nicole. All right, who's got number two, please?
Hi, Monica. It's Vicki from the Johns Family Team in Overland Park, Kansas.
Oh, great, Vicki from Overland. I can always count on you. Thank you. What did you like today?
I really like that, that we carry through to closing with that 3-week honeymoon checklist, just like we do with the listings.
Great. Exactly. And so that 3-week process really sets the tone. And what I think is important about writing this down, Vicki, too, if everyone will write down that 3-week honeymoon, is that if you're proactive with calls to them, then you're going to cut down the calls coming at you that are like repetitive and crazy and stupid. Remember, there's the D-I-S-C and then there's crazy when they start moving. Right?
Right.
Good job, Vicki. All right. Thank you for that. Who's got number 3, please?
Monica, I actually have a question.
Okay, good. Go for that.
It's Elizabeth in Kansas City.
All right, Elizabeth.
I just hired a transaction coordinator.
Okay.
And one of the things that my team leader suggested is that we have something measurable to track. Like our agents, they're expected to make, 20 phone calls a day, or, their goal is to sell 200 homes this year. What is measurable that we can track on the contract to close portion that would show results?
Well, I guess, the key thing okay, that's a difficult one other than you're going to track that you have a spreadsheet with every seller and they track the communication that they've had with that seller every week.
Okay, so it could be a goal of a phone call every day for the first 5 days.
Yeah, but I'd even take it broader. I think that, it's a great question. I hadn't even thought about that. But I'd take a spreadsheet and let's say that 123 Cherry Street. And then I'd say contact accountability. And every time they contacted that seller, they put it in there. Every time that seller called into them, they put it in there. And it's kind of like a communication log on a spreadsheet so that you could pull up all your addresses and you could see on this spreadsheet, wow, this person had 15 communications. This one only had 3. I wonder what's going on there.
Okay.
Okay? So that would be one thing. The other thing that I think is great accountability, watch this one, is to close the file on time. Don't let the deadline move. Imagine that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, and our team does very well with that, so that's a good one.
But that's a good incentive to remind them, especially someone new. Okay?
Yeah.
So, Elizabeth, you can't get off the phone. What did you like today?
I do like the transaction summary. We have something similar to that, but I do like writing down what vendors you used, your title company, your termite company, so that you can go back to them and say, look, we've done so many deals together this year. How about reciprocating with some sort of XYZ thing?
There you go. Okay, good. All right, great. And so track those vendors that you guys lined their pockets with. Because
Right.
all they do is get a phone call. It's the hard efforts of you and your agents to find them business. Good, I like that. All right, good. Okay, so one more. Who's got number 4? So that was tracking vendors on number 3. Who's got number 4?
This is Sandy from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Thanks, Sandy. Boy, it's the Midwest that likes to talk. Everybody on the East Coast, not so much. The West Coast, of course, they're at the beach, whatever. Okay, Sandy from Utah.
I really liked, I know you helped me through the price reduction situation, and then you had also mentioned at the end of the checklist the to express to the clients the 18-step process.
Yes.
And I had never really thought, I mean, sure, we tell them it'll be advertised or we'll change the price, but we don't actually go through a step-by-step process, and so I think that's really helpful for them to understand that we're not just, it's not just in one location, that we'll be contacting anybody we can to let them know.
And Sandy, I'm sorry, you're not from Utah. Sandy is a city in Utah. Where did you say you're from?
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tulsa, right. Okay, Sandy, Utah is a city, so I was kind of a little confused there. Okay, from Tulsa. You're so right. And so when you say to someone, we have an 18-point checklist of 18 things that we do, Sandy, when you agree to change the price of your home, from notifying agents to the websites to our 800 information line, we do so many things to get the word out and create new energy. I always like to say the word create new energy. And so Sandy, so all you simply have to do today is just agree to the price change, and we'll get this 18-point plan started. And I'll also email you the plan so you see what we're doing. They love to see the plan. So that's another great point, is give the price reduction plan to the seller. Okay, good. All right, so homework assignment is, you know, in my personal opinion, is that you need to have that honeymoon checklist go into place. And on the closings, and that's 5 calls, anticipate their needs, all the things we talked about. The second thing I want you to do is to track your closings, if you haven't done that. And the third thing is track vendors. So go back and make a list of all the vendors that got paid because you called them and gave them a job. Don't forget how this works. The agent, you know, does whatever they do to find, you know, between marketing and whatever they do to find business, and then we just make a call to them and say, hey, you know, we need you as a lender. Hey, we need you as title. So we want to make sure that, you know, we've got a good track of where all this business is going to. All right. So policy and procedure suggestions. Now, all my little analyticals out there, you're going to break it out however you want. So I'm just giving you suggestions from the D personality. I just have a tab that says price reductions. It'd have scripts, letters, checklists, the process, the form, everything would be in that. Now, some of you are going to break it out a little more than that, and I think that's good. The second tab that I'd have would be closing. Now, you can have the honeymoon checklist in there, the closing checklist, all of those different things can be in there. However you want to do it, break it out. And the third suggestion that I think that would be great to have in there, of course, is your tracking systems. And that can be tracking sources, tracking vendors, but you could have your tracking systems. And just copies of your different spreadsheets on Excel. You could have information on how to enter the data, that sort of thing. That would be your part of your policy and procedures manual. All right. Okay, so no call next week, right? Am I right? Yes. Yep, no call next week. And then the following week would be the first week of November. How we got there, I don't know. And that, well, no, it's not. It's, wait, I don't even have my calendar in front of me. Somebody's got it. But anyway, the first week of November is the next call. We've had 3 calls this month, correct? 1 for your agent and 2 for you. Somebody say yes. I know it's right. Anyway, okay, I'll say yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. All right. And so our next call is with the agent the first week of November. So with that said, you've got plenty of time to catch up on your policy and procedures manual. Get it started. You know, use the box, don't use the box. I don't care what you use. Put it in files. get it started. Start tabbing it. Order your binders. Get this going. And then, because by the end of the year, which will complete these courses practically, you want to have a great start going into 2014 with a very specific policy and procedures manual, a book of business. All right, everyone, I'm Monica Reynolds. I'm excited that we had a great call today. I hope I made a difference in your life. Thank you for your time commitment. Thank you for the financial commitment from your agent. Go make some money. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.